Right, that's a bit of bait put into this swim. Good morning everybody. It's about 5:15 now. And as I'm sure you can see, down the River Wide today. Came down today to bring my friend to do a bit of trotting. That was the idea. We booked this a couple of weeks ago when it hadn't rained for ages and ages. However, if you saw the last video, you'll know I touched on it. We were due a lot of rain about 48 hours ago. That duly came. We've been watching the gauges like a hawk, and it's just started to come up in the early hours of this morning. It's coming up about 2 inches an hour at the moment, so I think we may struggle to do any trotting. Certainly, I think trotting in the favoured barbel swim is out. However, we've got a Croy swim here, which we can certainly do some trotting off. That's not a problem at all. There's another swim a bit further down, which we can wade out to. There's a bit of a gully. We could possibly do some in there as well. I'm certainly worried about later on if it keeps coming up as far as the trotting goes. So what I've done is brought my ledger gear with me as well. Mick is doing the same thing. He's not here yet. He'll be here in about an hour or so. He didn't fancy getting up at silly o'clock like I did. I think I got up about 3:15. So, as you just saw, put a bit of bait in here. Bit of sort of mixed. Got some mixed pellets in there. Bit of sort of cheesy garlic and some halibut pellets, some krill pellets, some sticky baits of the krill pellets, and all sorts of sizes, all sorts of everything. Just want to get the fish grubbing about on the bottom and expected to find pretty much anything. That's the idea. I've got some hemp in there as well. I've done the same in swim just a bit further down. So yeah, looking forward to this. I think, as I say, it's probably going to be a day for the ledger today. So I've got that with me. We'll run through the gear in a minute as and when we get started. But yeah, it's been a cracking day already, to be honest. I've seen so much wildlife. It's crazy. I've seen owls, I've seen badgers, I've seen all sorts of everything. There's a chance of seeing some peregrines here as well, some otters, all absolutely everything. It's a wonderful stretch, this. Absolutely wonderful. So I think it's probably worth going back to the swim where I've dumped all my gear. We'll grab a few bits and pieces. We'll perhaps have a bit of a go at trotting. Maybe have a go in here first, let that other swim settle down. I'm hoping that this water that's gone in, this rain that's gone in and is lifting the level, it's certainly coloured it up. I'm so hoping it will have sharpened up the fish's appetites. That's the plan. That's the theory. Anyway, we'll see if it works out. Right, we'll get back down there and we'll have a crack. So guys, what I thought I'd do is have a go in here. This is my sort of favoured barbel swim. So I'd have a go in here on the float because, as you can see, we're pushing the waders a bit, and the and the bait waiter tripod, and the camera tripod for that matter. So with this river on the rise as it is, I thought perhaps we'd have a go in here on the float before perhaps we can't get out far enough to fish here. It's ripping through for this swim anyway, so I'm not sure if we're going to do any good. But we'll have a go for half an hour. See if anything's up for a feed. There's plenty of fish been jumping out, which is a good sign. I'm not seeing what they are yet, and a lot of them did seem to be fairly small. There's also not a great deal of clarity, to be honest. There's maybe sort of 2 foot-ish. As you saw then, the float pulled under over there. That's roughly where these barbel tend to sit. There's some rocks over there. They tend to sit in them. I just thought it'd be a good idea, as I say, to have a go in here before we can't have a go in here anymore. I've got my Daiwa Tournament Pro 15-foot rod, Abu 506 Mark II close face reel, Drake domed top alloy stem stick float there. That's 4.8 gram. I've cocked that with a 4 gram just to make it a little bit more visible in the more turbulent swims. And I'm fishing meat on the hook. It's as simple as that. Got a few change baits we can have a go with. Certainly if we go on the ledger, we'll have a go with some different baits. But we'll run through them as and when. We'll just see if we can't winkle something out early on. certainly be a lot easier to fish this swim on the ledger. Maybe a case that we do that, we can back off a bit and sort of still stand in the water, but fish the ledger a bit later on. It's usually a good barbel swim, this. Worth mentioning, we're after barbel and chub today, as is usual for me down the way. Some cracking chub around, and obviously the Wye is renowned for its barbel. So I'm not sure how we're going to do in here today. It's ripping through a little bit. It's not the sort of, I was going to say, it's not the sort of swim you can hold back in. Well, there we go. First fish on. Mr. Chub, I'm sure, the way he's kiting in. Yeah, it'd be nice to get able to get out further and hold back. But not today. I think he's very big. He's not very big, but we're off the mark. Well, they're here. They're feeding. Cracking stuff. Brilliant. We're off the mark. I can't be presenting the bait that badly if we've had a bite. The main area in here we want to be fishing is sort of about 10, 11 o'clock, which is not great for trotting, as I say. It's not ideal at all. Really, we'd prefer to be stood up there and holding the float back. But it's just not possible, certainly not today, with this amount of water on. Lovely, lovely light level at the moment, and the sun's up. Well, kind of. It's beyond the hill at the moment, but we're past sunrise. It's very low light level. It's perfect, really. As I say, we'll give it half an hour or so in here, because we're not going to be able to in a bit, I'm sure. Well, there's some fish lumping out, certainly. Oh, I like we're in. Just went down at the bottom of the swim there. I thought it was the bottom, but it's certainly not. Well, I'll be amazed if this wasn't a chub. I'm sure it is. And it's just holding there in the middle of the flow like barbel tend to do. Yeah, certainly some fish lumping out. Well, we're having a few on the float, which is nice. This feels a better fish. It is. And a nice one at that. No monster, a very nice fish. Come on, chap. Big mouth open, covered in weed. Oh yeah, that's a nice one. Check that out here. Cracking. That's wonderful. Blimey, you wanted that. There we go. Beautiful fish. Give him a minute in that flow to get his breath back. Go on. Cracking. Well, I'm glad I started on the float, I have to say. Really pleased. Let's get a bit of bait out. Easy doing this one-handed. I think this is probably our best bet for a barbel today, this swim. But I think it's also probably going to be best to fish this on a ledger. It's very clear in here at low level, so you can see what's going on and where all the rocks and stuff are. So I've got a sort of mental map of what the swim looks like. I'll be able to cast into the right places, hopefully not lose too much gear. Another reason why we may struggle trotting today is, as you can probably hear, the wind is picking up. It's supposed to be pretty windy today. It was really windy yesterday, blowing an absolute gale. It's supposed to ease off a bit today. Oh, that is. I'll have a cast at it then. Be a chub. Worth mentioning, guys, obviously on a rising river, although it's still relatively low for the Y. On a rising river, you know, safety first. I've got a very safe exit here. I'm never going to get stuck here. Shallows up all the way in, and I'm sheltered from the current really by a big willow. It's just behind the camera there. So I'm in relatively little danger. Oh, it's a fish. Floating under, I was just trying to draw it back. I'm sure it's going to be a chub again. So past this willow that you can probably see here on the left. I've never caught a barbel further down than that. And this is quite a long way down. Oh, he's pulling back, to be fair. Properly pulling back, but I'm sure it's a chub. Doing lots of chubby head knocks. Certainly not beating me up enough to be a barbel, I don't think. There's another nice fish. Cool, just nicked him. Hopefully he won't drop off. Nope. Cracking. Another lovely fish. Fantastic. This is wonderful. Well, it might be the middle of July, but this water's not very warm, I'll tell you that. It's really not very warm at all. I've not done the temperature, but I'll be amazed if it's above about 16. Not warm still here at all. I do think this swim today will be better fished on a ledger, perhaps a straight lead or the feeder. But like I say, I'm kind of saving that for later when we haven't got any choice, because at the moment I have got a choice. So we'll have a go on the float rod for a bit. I'm just keeping an eye on the river level actually up against this tripod, and it's still coming up, I can see. Come up about 1 centimetre since I've been stood in here. Certainly looking upstream, there's a load of water coming through. I think it might come up as much as perhaps half a metre even today. This place does rise quickly. We did have a big downpouring of rain, as I say, 48 hours ago, 36 hours ago. Proper chucked it down for hours and hours. Like I say, it's put upstream. Oh, we're in. Upstream, it's put half a metre on the river. all around those rocks again. Although this does feel like a chub. Thump, thump, thump. Well, we haven't been at it very long, probably half an hour, I think, something like that. This is number 5. So this water that's gone in certainly has put them on the feed. Yeah, not a huge fish, but a nice one. Certainly on the lookout for this meat. Oh, it's beautiful condition. Beautiful. Right in the corner. There we go. Little fat fish. Well, this is wonderful sport, I have to say. I'm trundling this bait through, and the Olivet is sort of tripping bottom a little bit, which is why I'm not striking every time this float goes under. Because if I did, I'd be striking about every 10 or 15 seconds. What I tend to do is, if it does go under, you just tend to check the line, mend the line, and give it a second. And usually the float will pop back up. When it doesn't, that's when it's probably a fish, or you're properly snagged. There we go. See, I just waited a second then. You can actually feel the fish half the time. You feel the fish pull back. They tend to just hook themselves against the rod. Need a big strike. There'll be a chub again, I'm sure, down there. God, queuing up today. Again, not a huge fish, I don't think. It's not beasting me. So that's a good example of just, as I say, the float went under. You're probably not going to be able to see on there. Float went under, I just checked the line, and then it didn't come back up, and then I just felt thump thump on the rod top. When it's just snagged up on the bottom, you'll just feel the float fluttering in a current. Whereas these fellas give you a big thump. Fab. Well, I'm trying to keep count today, and that is number 6. God, right in the middle of the top lip. Oh, stupidly cut my fingernails yesterday. There we go. Cracking. Well, this is wonderful. Very cold, but wonderful. Oh, right between your feet. Well, I think Mick will be here any time soon. Although I have no idea of the actual time. But I think the way we're catching plenty of chub, as I say, this fresh water that's gone in has certainly livened these fish up. It did seem to be, we're about a month into the season, it did seem to be getting a bit cautious of cubes of meat run down to them. But they don't seem to be cautious today. They sort of let their inhibitions go a bit when they get a bit hungry. This fresh water certainly seems to have got put an edge on their appetites. fish? I thought it was. Seemed like a bit of a thump, thump, thump. And that is right in those rocks where the barbel tend to hang out. And it's just heading off upstream. Doesn't feel very big though. It's doing very barbely things. I think we might be attached to the first barbel of the day. By the way I'm having to back wind at the moment. It's right where I'd expect to get a bite off a barbel. It's heading off over the other side. Woo! God, right over the other side. Be a bit careful. There's no rocks over there. It's not a very barbly thing to do. Head for the edge. I don't think this can be a chub. If it is, it's an absolute beast. Changing away from those rocks. There's a net behind me. A bit previous, but got to be prepared. Yeah, it's not a monster, I don't think, but it does feel like a barbel. Your footsteps. I think Mixie. Morning. I think I have the first barbel of the day on. Yeah, I think so. Give me a beating anyway. It is. Is he done? That's the question. He's going to fool me, isn't he? Well, guys, it is a barbel. No monster, but he's fooled me into reaching for the net. Now he's going to clear off. Come on, chap. Still not done. Net's all inside out. Got him. We got him. So guys, he's had a bit of a rest. We'll have a quick look at him and then we'll give him another rest before we get him back. How's about that? First one of the day. Cracking. What a great scrap as well. Wonderful stuff. Right, we'll rest him up again. Get him out in the float, rest him up, and get him back. There we go. Gone. Fab.
Okay. Oh, upstream, yeah.
Yeah, because you sort of, it's really awkward because you really want to fish in the middle here.
Right.
And it'll start to trip under somewhere there. And it's just a case of just feeding it through. But I had that barbel right over by them rocks, where I'd expect to have them, to be honest, where they live.
Okay.
And it sort of just slowly shallows up there. You just trip bottom more and more and more down there.
Right.
Well, I was catching chub down there earlier. All right. Yeah?
I think so.
Yeah, you're in. Just get that back line on, push that knob forward. That's it.
Oh, it's not on, is it?
That's it. That's about where I expect a barbel bite. Not wishing to stress you out, but I think you might be hooked onto a barbel here. The way you're back winding, quite possibly. The line starts to sing. That's what we want.
So I haven't hooked a barbel on the white trotting, so I don't know what to expect.
I think you have now. This is not a job.
Are my arms aching already?
Definitely a barbel, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely a barbel, I think. Well, if it's a chub,
It's a beast. I'm not going to stab at him.
It's coming quick though. No.
Yeah, not for long. Yeah, it's can't be a chub. They'll just come and go and come and go. It's a barbel. It's definitely a barbel. Decent one. I'll get him if I can. Like I said, I don't want to knock him off. Got him.
Brilliant.
Nice one, mate.
Brilliant.
That's cracking. Really pleased about that. Mick's just gone to get his camera. But we'll get a bit of footage of him holding that as well. Looks a good fish. Looks a good £6, I'd say. Probably 6.5, somewhere around there. Cracking fish. Got him snagged up. We managed to get him out with a mixture of pulling and letting it go slack. We shifted him. He got into those rocks. We stood in water about a foot deeper than usual here. Well, than usual than at summer levels, and it's not very warm at all. And it's still coming up, so I'm not sure how much longer we're going to be able to do this for. We might have to get on the ledger rods later, but yeah, cracking. And this rainwater, as suspected, it's this rain that's gone in. It's certainly got these fish on the munch. Well, guys, there we go. Mick's first white barbel on the float.
Fantastic scrap.
It's great, wasn't it?
Great.
Absolutely wonderful.
Now that meat, isn't it?
Yeah. Right in and
real
around
nice
those rocks again. That's a
real
cracking
nice
fish.
actually.
Yeah. It's got to be, we were just saying it's got to be £6, isn't it, that one? Fantastic.
Lovely job.
Brilliant. Nice one, mate.
Cheers,
Right,
Mick.
we'll rest him up and get him back.
Great.
We in? Oh, we are. A long way down. But we're in. Well, I've just been stood here in the water with Mick having a chat while I've been trotting the float through after he had that lovely barbel. I just run that right the way down, and I thought we had the bottom again, which is happening quite a lot. But what I'm having to do is we're getting, I'm just looking at my tripod here, we're getting deeper and deeper in the water. It's still on the rise, this river. It's starting to get to a point where it's getting a little bit ropey standing here. I'm going to have to sort of back off really, which is not ideal. I think this fish has snagged us up in that weed I kept getting stuck in earlier. I think he has. Let's give him a bit of slack, see if he'll come out. Yeah, this water's getting higher and higher and higher. It's just becoming harder and harder to trot in here. So I think it's a case of either trotting off the Croy, which is where Mick's gone round to. There we go, we got him moving. Bit of slack line out again, get him moving. So yeah, I think we're going to either have to trot off the Croy, where Mick is, he's just gone back to, or do a bit of feeder fishing in here, I think, or ledgering, certainly. But I think we'll do all right on the ledger. Barbel seem to be out and about, certainly even jumping out in this swim and up in the Croy swim. It's not even very big, this one, and he's just snagged us up. Yes, it's glad we've had a go at this early on, because it's oh, he's a decent fish, that'd be why. Come on. I didn't think he was that big, I must admit. That's cracking. Another beautiful, beautiful wide chub. And you wanted that, didn't you? Blimey. Cracking. But yes, it's getting higher and higher up my waders as I'm stood here. In fact, earlier on when I had that barbel, I was stood about another metre out in the river, and I certainly couldn't stand there now. We'll carry on for a few minutes, but like I say, I think it's going to be time to break out the ledger gear in here soon. So I think I'm going to make the most of trotting in this swim. I don't think I'm going to be able to trot in here for very much longer. Feeder fishing is possible, although very difficult with all the debris coming down. The river's colouring up as well, I'm not sure. Running the float through and a moving bait is going to be much use for much longer either. Conditions are changing very, very quickly. This thing I put in to mark the height of the water about 20 minutes ago. It was at the bottom of that black. It's now up here. It's come up like an inch in about 20 minutes. So things are changing very, very fast. Maybe that we need to go and find some other swims to fish, or certainly me. As I say, I can fish here on the feeder, but there is so much debris coming down, it's very difficult. I know we can trot on the Croy until, well, the Croy goes under at about 1.3 metres. We're at about 60 earlier on, so there's going to be plenty and plenty of time before that Croy goes under. I'll be surprised if it does, to be honest, because we did only have one big batch of rain. So I think that Croy will remain perhaps the best place to do some trotting. Definitely still here. I didn't see it. I'm guessing it was a barbel. There we go. Thought I felt a thump. Well, we're still catching. Judging by the way this is heading in, it's a chub. Judging by the thumps, it's a chub. We can clearly still see it coming in this water, which is colouring up very quickly. Oh, another lovely plump fish. It's about that. Cracking. There we go. 2 and 2. Well, we ain't got them in yet, but seems to be some chub holding down there. Presuming it's a chub, I think it is. Quite know what's going on here. I feel snagged up. But I can feel him kicking. That's it. I think there's perhaps some weed bed or something in there. It's coming in now. All of a sudden. Oh yeah, some weed on the olivet, look. Oh, there you go. Got us in a weed bed. Wow. The cracking fish. Well, I think decision to start trotting again has been fully vindicated. Well guys, it's gone a bit quiet here, but it is colouring up very quickly. It's about lunchtime now, about midday, and it is, the more it colours, the less bites I'm getting basically. But clearly the fish can't see the bait anymore coming to them, and I can't slow it down. I'd like to do. If I could get behind the float and run it through really slowly, I think that'd be ideal. But obviously I can't do that because I can't get out far enough in this swim. I think we'll give it a few more minutes, and then what I'm going to try and do is pull these barbel across that live in this swim. I'm going to try and bait up not much past the end of this willow really, just on the edge of the flow there, about 20 foot out from where I'm stood. I'm going to try and pull the barbel across to there with some feed, and then perhaps feed a fish there, because trying to fish out in a flow is just, as I said, I just can't keep the bait out there. There's so much debris, weed, algae, branches, all sorts of everything coming down the river because it's rising. I just cannot keep a bait out there long enough, I think, for them to find it. You can see how much has come up. My bank stick is now submerged. I was using as a marker. So since I put that in there, perhaps an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, it's come up a good couple of inches. We'll carry on for a few minutes, but I think that's going to be the plan. I think, just looking at this tripod that's under the water, I think we've got about a foot of visibility at the moment, and that's about it. And that's it's not great for trotting, not when you can't slow the bait down. And obviously it's getting deeper and darker down the bottom of the river, and the water's going faster, so everything's starting to work against me. I might have a go on the Croy perhaps, if Mick don't mind, because on there I can get the rod tip behind the float and really slow it down. So we're back in the original swim. I'm back on the ledger. We had a little bit of a go earlier with not very much success. In fact, none. We had a little knock. That was it. So we'll have another go now. I'm going to try paste wrap boilie, then we'll perhaps try pellet, meat, ring the changes, see if we can't winkle out a barbel or two. I've got my standard barbel running ledger rig on here. I'll stick a link up there if you want to go and have a look exactly how I tie this up. I've got a Guru grip feeder on there, just a small one at the moment. Got my Daiwa Infinity Evo barbel, 12 foot, £1.75 test curve rod, and a Daiwa GSB RLT 3000 reel there. I'll stick all the info on all this stuff down below, so you can go and have a look at your leisure. I'm hoping we'll be able to hold there with a little bit of bow of line out. Trouble we had earlier, there's so much debris coming down the river. Weed, big algae rafts, stringy bits of algae, branches, all sorts of everything coming down. I couldn't get more than about 5 minutes out of a cast before the line was just covered in weed. So what I've done, as you saw, was baited up a little bit closer in than we were fishing with the float earlier on, in the hope that we can pull the barbel over a little bit this way. I can fish with less line in under the water, and also being up here means I've got less line under the water as well. because that's basically the issue. It's just loads and loads of debris collecting on the line, and then the feeder starts to move. And 9 times out of 10, when that happens, it ends up in a snag. Right. Blimey, just cast in. God, blimey. I think we know what this is. Literally just cast that in. I'll just ping in a few pellets in. God, blimey. Well, that didn't take long. I think we've got them hunting about. By the look of it. God. In that flow, wow. Clutch set, just for any lunges. I wonder if we can land in from here or whether we need to get down there. Not heard anything from Mick, so I'm guessing he's not had anything, so it might be worth giving him a shout, getting him to come up here. Nice barbel. I think we can land him from here rather than scrabbling down there. God, that's a lovely, fresh looking fish. There we go. I think we can get him in just about. Cool, that's a proper one. Blimey. He's bigger than I realised. Hope you saw that. Not sure you saw me get him in the net, but that's a proper one. I think we need to give Mick a shout, get him to come up here. I'm pinging these pellets in. As soon as I've done that, I had one bite which I missed, and then just had a bite off this fella. I mean, straight away, you saw how quickly it was. Literally, I only turned around to pick my catapult up, cast in, turned around to pick my catapult up, and the rod's... We'll give him a minute though. We'll actually get down there, sort him out, because it's quite static, the water in here. Although it's quite fresh water, it's running through. It's quite static, so we will get down there and sort him out. Well guys, we'll try and have a look at him. He's a bit lively, but we'll try and have a look at him. How's about that? Early afternoon barbel. Fantastic. That's great they've got over this feed as well. Absolutely wonderful stuff. Really pleased with that. Right, we won't keep him out of the water. We'll get out here where it's a little bit faster. I'll get as far as I can anyway. Give him a bit more of a rest up, and then we'll let him go. It's getting deeper and deeper by the minute out here. We'll do what we can for him. Yeah, we've got some flow in here. I say he's had a bit of a rest anyway. He's very lively, as you can see. He's going to give me an absolute soaking by the looks of it. I'll just wait till he's properly recovered. Oh, he's not hanging about. He's gone. Fantastic. So guys, we're back. Aye, the fish are back as well. I've had half an hour break since we caught that barbel. Thought it'd be probably a good idea to give the swim a bit of a rest. So rested up for about half an hour, had something to eat, gone and see Mick, just tell him to come down here if he fancied it. However, he's fishing, maybe 150 metres downstream, and he's found a lovely run that he's trotting. He's catching loads and loads of chub, so he's having a great time. And I'm going to whack this out again. And hopefully, as happened then, hopefully the barbel will find the bait before the bait gets covered in, or the line gets covered in debris. Not really intending on casting that far. I just am. Not meaning to. Just giving it a little lob to try and get it over this tree. Over this willow and sort of get it over there really. Alright, that's on. No, it's not. Well, I certainly found the method here. There's a couple of three very, very chubby thumps. I'm using a D-rig on here. I'll stick a link up there. You can see these hook links, how I tie these hook links up. Should you wish, I'll stick it down in the below as well. I've got a D-rig on. Not the best rigs for catching chub. You do often get lots and lots of thumps like that off chub. Whereas the barb will just suck the bait in and hook themselves against the rod, generally. Wasn't the best cast in the world. Close in, really. Fishing with a Dynamite Hotfish GLM boilie, paste wrapped in paste I've made up. There's no paste in this range, you have to make your own if you want some. I've made up some paste. Again, I'll link you in up there to a video of how to make your own paste from boilies should you want to do it. But paste wrapping boilies certainly works really well. Just that paste dissolving off the boilie just gives that so much traction. Feeder's on the move now. Let's get it out before it finds a snag. Well, even sat up here and not fishing too far out, still only getting about 5 minutes out of a cast. There we go. Well, crazy as it sounds, it will sound a bit crazy. I think it's just a chub. Well, I've put a small feeder on for the last, I don't know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, not had a bite. I put the big feeder back on and we're straight in. God blimey, just pulling. I think they're so hungry. They're just not even responding to that smaller feeder. My hand's all slippy. God, what is this? It feels like a chub, and it's coming the edge like a chub, but now it's properly scrapping. It's crazy. I had that smaller feeder on. Nothing happened. Literally first cast with a bigger feeder on. This can't be a chub, can it? Making my arm ache. Whatever it is. No, this can't be a chub. I think it's just relatively modest sized barbel, would be my guess. It is. Well, it's either a huge coincidence with those feeders or the little one's just not delivering enough to even make them look twice. What a scrap. You done? No. This is wonderful. Come on, in you come. Cool. Doing everything you can to avoid the net. Got him. Oh, wonderful. Right, once again, we'll give him a minute and then we'll go down to him. Get him in that faster water out there. There we go, he's righted himself. Cracking. So guys, we'll have a quick look at this one. Again, he's very well rested, so he might disappear before we get to have a look at him. We'll have a quick look. How's about that? Wonderful stuff. Cracking. And I've just had a phone call from Mick, who said he's got one in the net. He's just had, after having lots and lots of chub in that swim, he's just had a lovely barbel. So we'll get this one back and we'll go and have a look at Mick's barbel. Let's get a bit of current going through his gills. Gone. Fantastic. So guys, Mick's second on the float. Cracking fish as well. How big did you say it was?
£7.8.
7.8. Fantastic.
Given absolutely brilliant fight like they always do. But it's nice on float gear, obviously. But
well, that's a cracking fish. That's a lovely fish, mate.
Put his fin up for us.
Beautiful.
Such good condition as well.
They are, aren't they?
Brilliant.
Cracking. Well done, mate.
Thank you, mate.
Nice one.
Great.
So guys, we're going to call it a day there. It's getting on for 8 o'clock now, and it's been a very slow afternoon, to be honest. We've had a few fish since sort of mid-afternoon, but noticeably since this river peaked and then started to drop, the bites have just died off. Clearly the fresh water going in has really sharpened up their appetites, and they were on the munch earlier, although the fishing wasn't easy. We had a great time this morning trotting down here. And Mick's been doing some trotting this afternoon as well, and he's found that the sport has just died off too. But we managed to make the ledgering work despite the fact that there was so much gunge and all sorts of everything, branches, algae, leaves, all sorts of everything coming down, catching on the line. We were getting about 5 minutes out of a cast, but we've had a couple of nice barbel on the feeder as well, so that's good. We've not done that for a while, so that made a nice change, although it wasn't easy fishing. But I've alternated this afternoon between that. I've done a bit more trotting, a bit more feeder fishing, and yeah, it's been very slow. Mick's found exactly the same thing, so I'm sure, as I say, I'm sure it's the fact that these fish have just, their appetite's been stimulated, and then now it's dropping off and they're not that bothered anymore. Now, I'm planning on getting out, hopefully in the next couple of days, getting down the Avon. That's my plan at the moment. And then I'm going to get out back to the Y later on in the week, as I think I mentioned earlier. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed that. Tight lines, enjoy your own angling. Many thanks to the channel patrons for your fantastic support, and I'll see you all again very soon.